Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be discussing the illusion and depression as a mental health issue. So there'll be two parts to this video. One of them will be a presentation, and then the other part, second part, will be more around in-depth around depression. In the presentation, the question at the top is, which side are you on? And there's two sides, and one side is you're unaware that you're in an illusion. And the other side is you know you're in an illusion. And those two things will have a profound effect on how you interface with the world that you have around you. So if you're unaware that you're in an illusion, you are more likely to believe you're your body, and you will do mighty things to protect the body, support the body, all kinds of stuff, because that's who you are. Now, when you know that you're in an illusion, you recognize that you're not your body. The body is a vehicle, transportation for who you are. Now, if you are believe you're your body, you have to do what the body does. And at some point, the body's going to stop. And if you're your body, you're going to stop. Well, you really don't, because at that moment, you understand, I guess I wasn't my body. So, but that's being in the illusion. When you're in the illusion, you're going to believe you're your body, and you're going to do mighty things to protect your body. The next step is, if you believe you're not in the illusion, you are going to also recognize or believe that you are what you do, and you are what you have. So again, it ties you very deeply into the illusion. Now, when you know you are in an illusion, all you are your memories. Now, last week, or last video that I did, we discussed how many memories you have. And I suggested you had many, many times more memories than you ever thought you had. Maybe into the trillions. Well, as you get older, you develop more memories. You have more memories that you create. So, if you are unaware you're in an illusion, you are more likely to see your world as a controller, and that you are only a you're a victim of the world you have. That it comes upon you and it presses against you, and life is challenging and a struggle over which you have little control except to follow along with the world as it rolls. There was an old sitcom called, maybe it's still on, I don't know, As the World Turns. And so that's what you are. You're caught in the mire of the turning world. If you recognize, if you know you're in an illusion, you recognize that you're the controller, the creator of the world you have, and not a victim. And therefore you can change it because you are the creator of your world. What an interesting concept for people to have. Now, if you are unaware you are in an illusion, you're not responsible for the life you have. It is others that are the cause of what you are dealing with. You're not responsible. When you recognize you're in an illusion, you also understand you are responsible. You're responsible for your life, the life you have in the illusion. So it gives you kind of control. Now, if you're unaware you're in an illusion, then you know it's not your fault. It's just rolling along as the world turns. Life is not your fault for being the way it is. And you have no control and you can't fix it. So you say, oh, woe is me. What a world I live in. Nothing I can do about it. Now, when you know this whole thing's an illusion, that what you have is your fault. And the great part about it is you can change it. That's the difference between taking responsibility and knowing you're in an illusion and you can do something about it, or not knowing you're an illusion and think that the world is against you. Now, if you are unaware you're in an illusion, your outside world is unaffected by your inside thoughts. Let me say that again. If you're unaware you're in an illusion, the outside world is unaffected by your thoughts. Now, when you know you're in an illusion, your outside world is a direct reflection of what you're thinking on the inside. The outside is a direct reflection of what you hold inside of you. And therefore, you change what you hold inside of you, and you have a different reflected world outside. So, what are you holding inside of you? Only memories, only your created memories, and you can change them. Now, those are only a few of the characteristics of being your awareness, being aware you're in an illusion, or being unaware you're in an illusion. Now, when we look at the illusion and depression, depression is defined by its symptoms, which are observable effects in the body. Now, here again, if you're unaware you're in an illusion, you are your body. Though this becomes very important then. What these symptoms are that's in your body that you're expressing. If you know you're not your body, then we have a different concept. So, what are some of the symptoms of being depressed? Persistent feelings of sadness, being in a gray kind of flat world where nothing matters, little hope of getting over it in the moment. There is a lot of rumination about the past, what you should have done different. Oh, if you'd only had a different partner, if you only had a different job, if you only had different parents, if you only had a lot of different things, then you would have no depression. But this is where you're at. And these are the symptoms. What other symptoms? Oh, I don't sleep. Can't sleep. I fall asleep, I wake up, and I'm there worrying about this gray world, this world I have no control over. There's a loss of appetite in many cases, or the opposite. There is an eating problem because of emotional eating in an attempt to feel better. But you lack a lot of energy. Part of it because you're not getting any sleep. Your concentration is faulty. Again, you got no energy, you got no direction to go. So you feel depressed. Also, your self-esteem and your confidence level wanes, begins to go down, and you find yourself in a hole. It feels like a hole. It feels like a hole that you not going to get out of. From day to day, it kind of feels like the same thing. And therefore, you have ongoing thoughts, or you could have ongoing thoughts of wanting to be someplace else. We call that suicidal ideations. Not a good thing. So those are some of the symptoms that stand out around depression. And some of you may have those. Even now, you may recognize them. So, in a major contributor, because a lot of times you get that, you go to therapy or you go to the doctor, and the doctor will say, well, the major contributing factor to your symptoms is a chemical imbalance in your brain. Terrible thing. Therefore, you can kind of relate. Chemical imbalance equals depressed symptoms. The two go together. You got a chemical imbalance. You get that first, then you get the symptoms of those that we talked about, sleeping and concentration and wish things were different and they're not. So that leads us to the end of our little presentation. And now the therapeutic question of this video is, what causes a chemical imbalance? What creates the chemistry in your body that gets out of balance? This little presentation was just to get us to this point, and also mention some other things about the illusion. So we're going to go on to part 2 and look at what creates the chemistry in your body. So stay tuned as I rearrange my little studio. And I'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to the second half of the illusion and depression. So now we have symptoms that come up. We feel them in our body. We feel those symptoms, they affect the body. And for them to affect the body, we have an imbalance in our chemistry. Well, what produces the chemistry that we have? There's a bunch of stuff. Excuse me. It's not all just little bitty things, but it is the whole balancing system of the body. How much sunlight you get, how much exercise you get, what kind of food you eat. But the most important thing that is usually not thought of is your thoughts. Every thought you have creates chemistry. Every thought you have in the body creates chemistry. Now, when you're born, nature sets you up pretty good. Not always. There are some problems sometimes. Sets you up pretty good. When you come out of the womb, you're pretty well balanced. Now, we know there are some times when you're not. So, but we're only going to talk about times when you are rather than exceptions. Let's look at the normal things, and then later on, we can look at exceptions. So, normally, we come along pretty good. Ma did her job in her gestation period. The child is going to be pretty good. So the child is balanced. What happens to the child when they get depressed? Maybe in their 20s or 30s or 50s or 60s or 80s. What is going on to make the difference? Every thought you have produces chemistry that affects the body. Now, how does it affect it? It affects it right down to the cellular level. So if you're depressed, your little cells are depressed. They're working very hard to overcome the chemistry that you create inside of you. So think for a moment. Think for a moment about if your since your thoughts produce chemistry, if you are having happy thoughts, what kind of chemistry are you going to be creating? You don't have to be a rocket science. If you're thinking happy thoughts, you're going to produce happy chemistry. Does that sound so unusual? Well, there might be a lot of people that say, "Well, yeah, but I've been addicted to some kind of a chemical. Maybe it's a unusual chemical, like you get off the street or out of whatever you can think of that isn't natural, that isn't good. Well, you're going to have unhappy thoughts. And that's just the way it is. And when you have unhappy thoughts, you're going to have unhappy chemistry. And the unhappy chemistry is going to affect your body in negative ways. Well, you might be saying, well, how can that be? How can that happen? Well, you have recognized that you have control of your life once you know you're in the illusion, and you can do things differently that cause you to have happy thoughts. Or you can ruminate. Now, these are all memories now. Well, that's, by the way, you do recognize that you can only be in the present moment. And if you have unhappy memories that you bring into the present moment, you're going to create negative thoughts. It's going to affect your chemistry. Terrible thing. Cause the body to be chemically out of balance. Sometimes you get anxiety when that happens. Sometimes you get depression when that happens. Depends on what your thoughts are. So, the chemistry in the body is determined by your thoughts. Now, what creates your thoughts? We went through some of that a while ago. Your thoughts are created by your memories. If you had a lot of childhood abuse, if you had a lot of problems in your life, you have a lot of negative memories. Well, how do you change your negative memories? You probably didn't think of that. You probably thought, well, memories just happen. No, if you've been around this channel long enough, you know, because we've done a lot of work on that, you create your memories. Your memories just don't happen. You create them. And if you know you're in the illusion, and this is an unreal place, you can change your memories. When you change your memories, you change your chemistry. You change your chemistry to something different, you can do a lot of good healing in the body. Now, the body responds to the mind. Now, we've known this for a long time. You might not have known it, but we've known it for a long time. It is a principle of the universe. Everything is in balance. Your being chemically out of balance is actually in balance with the environment around you. Now, there's an old saying, and you probably will have heard of it, as above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. As without, so within. Everything is in balance. You're having your chemistry out of balance is in balance with the life that you have. So if you want to change your chemical balance, you got to change how you think. Now, if you're in depression, you can think your way out of it by changing your past and doing a lot of therapy work. But a quicker way to get started is to go to the doctor. And in the beginning, get your chemistry in balance as much as you can. You're not going to get it all from the doctor. He can't do that. He can only do so much with chemistry from the outside. You got to get your chemistry right inside. And how do you do that? Well, by what you think. Now, part of that altogether in what you think is called your attitude. If you have an attitude of gratitude, you're going to do better. If you have an attitude of constant problems, nobody loves you, those all affect your chemistry, and you're going to have problems. So you change your belief system, which are memories created in the past. When you change your memories, negative ones from the past, you change your chemistry. What you hold inside determines what your outside is going to be. As within, so without. So we're going to talk more about how to change what you hold inside of you. And what do you hold inside of you? If you know you're in the illusion, you recognize all you are is your memories. And when you heal your past memories, you change your chemistry. Your body loves you more, and your life gets better. If you hang on to your old memories and ruminate on them, particularly those that are painful, you're going to get a chemical imbalance. And then you'll have trouble sleeping, you'll have trouble with your stomach, you'll have all kinds of things happening to you. So it is, the symptoms will raise their ugly head again unless you change. It's also called healing. When you heal your past, you change your present. If you don't heal your past and you got problems, you're going to keep your problems. Life is so mysterious. So we have a lot to talk about, and I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this thing, but it will be interesting for you to observe. So down below, if it was interesting in any way, hit the like button. And if it wasn't interesting, go to somebody else's channel and hit the not so interesting button. Also, you can subscribe, which is a wonderful thing for me. So take care of yourself, have fun, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.